moving on to somebody who will not have a revenge tour in 2022. Calvin Ridley, we didn't speak on this. Calvin Ridley suspended at least 1 year for betting on games. This was during his absence away from the team last year. So he went away from the team for his own mental health reasons. And during that span, he bet. I don't even think he bet on the Falcons, but he bet on the NFL. Bet a grand total of $1,500. Ended up costing himself $11 million in salary this year. And who knows, how much, because this was a contract year. Last season really would have been his re-up year if he balled, man. But man, I obviously got some thoughts on this. I'm gonna pass it to you first, man. What was your thoughts on this? Upon hearing this news, man?
So I'm like all over the place with this one. First off, in contract, we can't bet on games. Like, first and foremost, you're a professional. We already know that you can't bet on games. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if it's $1, regardless if it's $2, that's one thing that they harp on in all meetings. Everybody knows that.
Say that again. That last part.
Everybody knows that. Like, everybody knows you cannot bet on football games, right? On the flip side, I think a year suspension is a bit harsh. Now, I understand if you're trying to come out and you're trying to set an example because you know how big this betting world is about to get. You know what I'm saying? Where everywhere you go, you can bet. You got it on your phone. You can bet. All of that. But
shout out FanDuel Sportsbook.
No doubt. But I think a year is harsh. An entire season is harsh. But again, as a professional, you got to know what it is.
Yeah, you once again, you got to know what it is. And the important part here that a lot of people probably don't know. I know I've said it on air. I'm not sure if it's here or other places, but I've been saying this for years. As a player, as a professional player, like you better off getting popped for damn near anything else. They're like, I'm talking about steroids, DUI, anything else before gambling. Just because of and this was before when we was playing. This was before the sports books and owners and stuff. They had interests in fantasy teams and stuff, but it wasn't like you got sports book in the Arizona Stadium now. You got sports book in the United Center. Like, this is ingrained in sports. Everywhere you see games, you got the spreads there as well. So it's different. But we know, like, we had the guys that come in and talk about the mobsters and all that about it. So we knew the severity of that. We knew what comes with that. So you got to know better, man. And you can look at it and say, well, on one side, the owners, they own this and they got this, but in reality, employees and employers don't play by the same rules. Like, that's just real life. That's the world. That's America. That's whatever. Like, you own things. You own businesses. You come in late to a meeting compared to one of your managers coming in late to a meeting. Those are two different. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not the same. So you gotta understand. You got to be
more careful. But look,
to be more careful, Calvin. And this is home team too. This is a young boy from out here, Broad, man. So I hate it.
I had a coach stand up in front of a meeting room, and I think this was the realest thing because he put it out there. He said, "Look, all y'all not gonna be." What he say? All of y'all are not gonna be treated equally here, but you will be treated fairly. And I thought that was the realest thing. Like, if you the star quarterback and you getting paid $40 million a year, you're not gonna be treated the same way as the guy that's on P Squad. Now,
and that's just life.
And that's life. P Squad, we're gonna treat you fair. We're gonna treat you fair. We're not gonna do anything, egregious or whatever, but we're gonna treat you fair. But you're not gonna be treated equally as QB1. And I thought that was the realest thing. So basically what you just said as far as employee any employer.
Yeah, I mean, you got so it's a lot. It's a lot of people.
Harsh, though.
You know what? Honestly, like I said, I know a lot. We know a lot of similar people, so it hits close to home. But taking a player out, let's say it wasn't whoever it was, it's just a player getting caught betting on the game while he's an active player. Do what I think a year. I would think honestly it'd be more than a year, and I think the suspension is going to be more than a year because you always hear him in those meetings, and it's some of half of his bullshit. Integrity of the shield, integrity of the game, integrity, like that's all you from day one, from that first joint we do before the draft or after the draft, integrity of the game, integrity of the shield. So that's what they got to protect because with all this growing interest,
that's bullshit.
This is me and you saying it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm just saying, keeping it a buck. I understand what they say. I understand what they say. I understand what's in the memos when they send out. I understand what they say. But we talk.
What they really say is protect the money, though.
Protect the money, basically. So, like, that's why I say I feel as though a year is harsh for $1,500. And I don't think it's about. And again, that's why I say I don't even think it's about the amount of money. I think it's about an example.
Yeah.
Setting that example.
And that's why. And I'm not gonna say, oh, you only get suspended 4 games for this, and because it's 2 different ball games. So I don't think the year. I expect it more than a year. I think it will be more than a year because they're going to try to make an example because these sports books ain't going nowhere. Sports betting ain't going nowhere. That's only going to become bigger and bigger. So the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, whatever. They got to be like, hey, players not, because that's all people be saying, oh, this shit rigged, this shit that, man, this shit that. So, hey, this ain't happening then. To make it worse, you got Stephen Ross, owner of the Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores in his lawsuit alleged that he offered him $100,000 per loss. So now you're dealing with that. You're dealing with, growing the partnerships with the leagues and the sports books. And now Kevin really put himself in the middle of it, man. I really hate to see it.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you really talking about protecting the shield, and that's why I hope we don't sign no NDAs. I hope it's an open book when it comes out with the Stephen Ross situation. Because if you offering to pay your coach $100K, and I would hope a man won't just come out and say that, just because he's salty at the time. So hopefully. Yeah, I'm saying
there were people who said they witnessed it too.
So if and when, and I said this before when it first came out, is that if this is true,
you did.
Stephen Ross should not be an owner of an NFL team if we're protecting the shield, as you say.
I agree 1,000%. But in real life, we know they play by a different set of rules. And that's the unfortunate truth. Because Stephen Ross paying a coach to lose games is 1,000,000 times worse than Calvin Ridley being away from his team and betting on the game. Like, look, those
he
not even close.
They was gonna win. He was gonna bet they was gonna win.
Not even close. But you saw the precedent's kind of been set with it. You saw Pete Rose, all-time leading hitter in MLB history, still not in the Hall of Fame. Will never go in the Hall of Fame. And they pretty much banished him, I think. I mean, MLB is terrible, but banished him from it. So, the precedent's set. But man, really, man, I hate to see it, man, especially at this point in his career. Just a dumb decision, man. Dumb decision to put itself in the middle of something like this. And hopefully, we always say you don't want to put your fate in somebody else's hands, but now you kind of waiting to see, how far they're gonna go with it, how much of an example they're gonna try to set.
Hopefully, he got some good folks around him, man, so they can put his arms around him and be close to him, because obviously he was already away from the game.
Yeah,
dealing with his mental. And hoping to come back next year, and for this to happen, for him to be out for an entire year, man. Hopefully, he got some good people in his corner. That he could sit down, he could talk to, and help him get through this time. But that's tough, man. That's tough.
Definitely. Let's